became one of the biggest lead generation tools that we have.
Whenever we bring on a client who's already doing content, I know their ads will work because it's the sphere of influence.
They already felt, I know you already.
A sale shouldn't feel like a hardcore close or uncomfortable. All we're doing is going, okay, are you a good fit?
Interestingly enough, I got a lot of feedback going, well, I didn't feel like I was sold to.
The global hair restoration market is worth over $10 billion and it's projected to hit $20 billion by 2031, with hair loss actually affecting over 80% of men and 50% of women in their lifetime. Today, I have Melbourne's and probably Australia's #1 hair restoration doctor and client of the Persuasion Experience Agency, Dr. Vikram. Welcome to the channel today.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Real pleasure, an honor being here. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for being here. And today, I hopefully won't feel like an interrogation, but we are going to talk about business, lead gen, and the growth of your clinic, Atlantis Medical. And here's why I can personally pretty confidently call you the #1 hair restoration doctor, because I did do all of your research when you started with us all of those many months ago and got to work on your project. But you've been in hair restoration and doing procedures for over 15 years. In that time, you've done over 10,000 procedures, which to me is crazy. And you're the co-host of the Hair Loss Show on YouTube with 136K subs. And I think that's one of the reasons your Facebook ads campaign actually works so well, is that you've built a lot of authority in the space. And I know you've been doing YouTubes. Well, I guess your oldest YouTube video is 5 years old. Why did you decide to do YouTube? Was it to get leads, or did you kind of just start and then fell into it? What was that journey of starting content?
Yeah, it's a really interesting journey, and I think the word journey is really apt here because it's morphed. The whole thing is morphed from one aim to and it's sort of diverted into various tributaries. So when we started, the initial concept was, it came from just kind of like what we're having, a conversation. And myself and my colleague, Dr. Russell Knudsen, who we co-host the show together, we used to sit down in between cases, on our lunch break and just, shoot the shit really on all things hair. And I'm a geek about hair, and I was like, oh, you know what, this is really good stuff. And over time I thought, you know what would be really good if we had, like a fly on the wall. I think these conversations, people would get a lot from it. And the problem is because my industry is such that it's like a lot of industries are full of charlatans, right? And so there are a lot of people trying to swindle you for this and promise you that. But these conversations that we were having were really ethically based and really informative. And so I said to Russ, listen, it would be really good just to have that, those conversations. And this was around about the time, interestingly enough, where, long form content on YouTube was really starting to make a push. It was the start of the Joe Rogan show. Not that we were emulating that at all, but I'd sort of spent a lot of time listening to like Tim Ferriss and the Tim Ferriss show and really that long form content. And so he just sort of naively went, okay, let's do it. Let's just get a videographer and we will stand and kind of have a conversation. And really based on talking about things that we would talk about on a day-to-day basis with our patients. And we just did that. We do next to no prep, all right. And because we didn't want it to be scripted, so it was really sort of trying to feed off each other and get that sort of vibe going. And then we did that, and we just we wouldn't film regularly. We would do it like once a month and shoot multiple episodes, and then we just uploaded it. And I genuinely thought, look, no one's going to watch this. I was going to have to, the thought of even subscribers, it was not a concept that I really fully understood. And I was like, I'm going to have to force my mother to watch these videos and all this. And then we just found that more and more people were watching the content. And then what happened was we were getting patients coming into the clinic and seeing us. And then more and more, they were going, oh, you know what? I've seen you on YouTube. And that was a bit jarring because I'd never been in that sort of public space from that perspective. But it was an interesting mind shift because we could tell the difference from people who had just seen maybe a Google ad or whatever it was at that time that came and saw us, and then we had to build that rapport with them within that sort of half-hour consult time, to people that had seen our content on YouTube and they already felt that they knew you, so they'd gotten over that. They already felt that they'd got that rapport, and they go, oh well, I feel like I know you already. That I heard that comment a lot. So inadvertently, it became one of the biggest lead generation tools that we had. And one of the things, and from a marketing perspective, you may critique, and I know we've had this conversation, but you may critique this and go, well, that was silly. We made a concerted effort never to tell people to come and see us. And B, never to tell people where, we never really made an effort to go, oh yeah, we are based here at this clinic, and if you want more information, click on whatever and book an appointment. And interestingly enough, I got a lot of feedback going, well, I didn't feel like I was sold to. So we also felt that people that did come to see us, right, had to put the effort to come and, who had seen our content to come and see us. They had to go, right, okay, I like these guys. Where are they based? And then go, right, okay, and go down that sort of pathway. So there was a certain amount of intent when they came through the door. And so the number of people that not only turned up for consults, but also progressed to move on to treatment, we saw an uptick in that.
Hey, hope you're enjoying today's interview with one of our clients from my agency, Persuasion Experience. We've been working very closely with them to finally crack the code on their paid ads on platforms like Facebook and Google Ads to profitably scale the number of qualified leads coming into their business. So if that sounds like you and you have ambitious growth goals to scale this year, click the link in the description and we can show you exactly how we can help you to get more qualified leads in the next month. All right, back to the interview. It's interesting, I think, in your industry, because I've read all of the Reddit threads and there's Reddit threads about your show and like people talking about it, like that's pretty big, right? So you guys are definitely a huge influence in this hair loss space, but everyone's very skeptical of doctors. On the YouTube, you started 5 years ago, and you didn't necessarily start it as a way of a lead generation channel. It sounds like you started it more to make impact and to provide value and to help people. Now you've kind of alluded that it is now your best lead gen channel. Do you track that? What of the lead quality? Can you tell us a bit more about the results that you've seen, or any specific stories of clients or patients that you've brought on as well?
Yeah, so I can put it into multiple different buckets probably. I think there are people that, when they've watched the videos, they can sense a sense of authenticity. They go, okay, this is someone that kind of understands, because we talk about stories of patients that we've met and problems that people are having. And like I said, we're always talking about things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis. And so when you use that as a template for what you're talking about on the show, people automatically go, actually, that's the question I had. That's the issue that I wanted to solve. So, I know when we spoke, right, one of your big things was, okay, who's your ideal client? But let's do our research on that client. This was my version of doing the research on our population, our target market, was just answering the questions that were commonly asked in that. And so you got people from overseas who went, well, I've gone to such and such clinic or doctor, and then they give me 5 minutes of the time and give me a script, and I have no idea what I'm doing about it. And then we had people here in Australia that would, sometimes we'll do remote consults or would fly in to do that. And we had people in Melbourne where we're located, where they go, right, I want to see you because I want someone who I can partner with through that journey. And so I think what I realized through your help as well is understanding that there is a patient or client journey, and you've just got everyone is at a different part along that journey, a different stop along that journey. And it's about what people also want is not only getting to the end point, but someone that can hold their hand through that process, because that journey may be very short-lived. It may be a more prolonged sort of time frame. So it's just, we got a lot of people coming in and really saying, oh, you know what, the fact that you were answering the questions, that made me, believe, made me trust you, what you're saying. And again, that feeling, I can't highlight this enough, is, one of the things was people felt that they knew you. They didn't have to. When you meet someone for the first time, you're thinking, do I vibe with that person? Does that person understand me, where I'm at, where I want to go? And we found that by virtue of people being able to watch a variety of different videos on a variety of different subjects, they were able to sort of, climb a lot of those hurdles. So pass a lot of those hurdles initially. And then, of course, we bring them into the clinic and understand, get a better idea of what their needs are, and then try and go from there.
Whenever we bring on a client who's already doing content, I know their ads will work, because it's the sphere of influence, right? Like people don't just find your ad necessarily and then work in this perfect linear funnel. It's this sphere of influence. So they're going to see an ad, they're going to go and stalk you. They're going to see the ad again. Maybe they remember you, and then they see the ad again and we see it in the data the third or fourth time, and then they're like, okay, yeah, I'm ready now, right? And whenever a client does content, it will hands down, I know it's going to perform. And even for us with our channel, we did go into it purposefully. This will be a lead generation channel. It will also help with our wider impact goals, because 99.99999% of people who watch it can't afford to work with us. They're not going to work with us, right? And we get all of these beautiful messages, and it's happening daily now, where people are like, hey, I did this on, one of them I had was this vending machine page. They do vending machines for lunchrooms in Miami, and they got their landing page to 30% on Google Ads from doing from watching the videos and all of these things. And I imagine you have the same thing. But
I'm interested, Alicia, because I think, I want to ask you that question, because and I think you've done the same thing. I've seen your content as well, and I think it's phenomenal. And one of the things that we did, and there was a time when I kind of felt like a bit of a fraud here, because on the videos, we wouldn't go give sort of 80% of the story and kind of leave that critical 20% back for when people came in. We were like, here's everything. This is exactly what we do in this scenario. This is, in our terms, we go, okay, well, this is the medication that we'd use. This is the dose that we'd use. This is the frequency. So we'd give the entire blueprint, and then people would come in and see us. And I would be, part of me at the back of my head was going, I don't know what additional value I can add, because you've watched the video and you've got all the answers. I'm essentially regurgitating the same thing. But I'm interested to hear what your viewpoint is with that. But I always felt that people, yes, would watch the video, but they love the concept of them coming in and getting that one-to-one and really sort of personalizing it to them and understand, right, okay, even if there wasn't a massive change in what the recommendation was, they felt that individual touch point was really important. How have you found that? Because all your content, you go full out, right? You give you give blueprints, you give templates, you're doing all that. Do you find that that's the same?
We give everything away, like everything, right? And why? One, impact goals. If you're going to go and implement it for yourself, you go, girl. I'm pumped. Go get it, and go and make more money, and go and, if you sell something that helps people, I want you to reach more people. I want you to help more people. I also know our competitors will be too lazy to do it, and it's taken me a long time. I worked at King Kong and I perfected it there, and then at Founder, and then in this agency. My competitors are too lazy to do it. So a lot of people are and maybe it's the same in your industry, I don't want my competitors to know what I'm doing. They're too lazy. There's 48,000 agencies in the United States. I know most of them cannot be bothered to do what we do. And then the people who we do want to talk to, like yourself, they want to see that I know my shit. Same as you, right? Like they want to trust me. And for B2B, I know that 70 to 80% of the buyer's decision happens before the sales call. So if I'm not controlling the narrative out there, then like, yeah, my competitors won't know, but neither will my market, right? So for us, sort of like more answer your question, then the sales process becomes, well, wow, I get to talk to the lady inside the computer, the lady from YouTube. And even then I'm removing myself from the sales process now as we grow the company. But the value of it is being very custom and bespoke. And then the same for you, right? But the beautiful thing is with our YouTube leads, they are higher quality than referrals. And I'm not saying my referrals are bad. My referrals are very, very good. But my YouTube is better because they've just brainwashed themselves for 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever it is. And they're like, oh yeah, I already know I need a landing page. Like they've diagnosed themselves almost. Like I've watched all your videos. Like I know I need this, this, and this. And it's like the easiest sale in a good way, right? And that's what good marketing does. It shouldn't feel like a sales shouldn't feel like a hardcore close or uncomfortable. All we're doing is going, okay, are you a good fit? We're going to actually analyze your business to see if we're a good fit. So I align with you.
Yeah, that concept of, do I pull and, drag this person across the line, or am I just through the sheer force of magnetism attracting that? And I think when you've given so much out, people will sort of navigate to that and go, that's the person I want to be working with.
Yes, and I know your content's the same, but I want to be fully myself on those videos. I don't want there to be any, like, if people are going to hate me, it's going to be for me, not for somebody that I pretend to be, right? But that's good because you want to be polarizing, and the more you are, the more you'll attract the right people. So I think, like, one of the things that I want to chat about is, because I try and tell all of our other clients, do YouTube, like start investing in YouTube. I can't stress this enough. We're a paid ads agency, and I'm like, go spend money on YouTube. Don't stop working with us. Do both. Go and like start your YouTube channel, because the authority that you build, for me, the opportunities that come, like I've had other people see me talking on my YouTube videos, and then I get speaker engagements, which then and podcast engagements and all of these things. But I think a lot of people overthink it. They don't stick to it. They say they're too busy, or it's like very first order thinking, right? They don't want to put in the time. So maybe for you guys, how have you figured out your YouTube system? Because you're busy. You're like literally doing hair transplant surgeries, right? Like you have a family, you're doing hair transplant surgeries, and you're doing the YouTube channel. So there's no excuses. How do you make time for it, and what's your system?
Honestly, Alicia, if I told you how the sausage is made, you'd probably throw up, because it's so bad. And it's been, and ironically, over the last 5 years, we haven't changed our modality one iota. So again, it comes from the concept of, I will never talk about something that I don't talk about, multiple times in the day in clinic. So I think, yes, you have to make time. There's just no shortcut for that. I don't care what AI does. I think the authenticity of you being in front of the camera, of you speaking those words, is going to trump, at this moment in time, anything that AI can generate from that perspective. So I don't believe that there's a shortcut from that side of things. What we do, we will block a time. It's generally once a month or once every 5 weeks. And we do it at a weekend, primarily because it doesn't take up theater time. It doesn't, there's normally in our clinics quite busy. There's lots of people walking around. So just from a quietness perspective, just logistically, we'll just, like on a Sunday afternoon, we've got a videographer. He's been the same guy, so he literally comes. So we will say, Spike, can you turn up on Sunday at 2:00? Right, so that's booked in advance. I will turn up at 1:30 at the clinic, and then I'm literally going through making a list on a piece of paper of 5 or 6 comments that have been made during the week in clinic, and then I'll go to YouTube and look at our comments that people have posted on there, and a lot of people, and we've got a great community. It's really, really thriving, and we people will ask questions, and we'll just go through that and go, all right, what are the 5 or 6 questions that have been asked or topics that we can cover? So we make a list of those 5 or 6 things, and that in that time, the videographer has set up the lighting, he set up the camera. It takes about 15 minutes to do, and then we'll show the piece of paper to each other, going, right, these are the 5, 6 topics, and then we'll go, yes, that's all the preparation that we do, and then we get mic'd up, and literally as we're micing up, the only conversation that we're having between us is who's going to say hello first, and then it's about authentic conversation. And so we do it on the fly. There's no script, there's no teleprompter or anything. And sometimes it'll be, oh, we've had this scenario, how would you handle it? All right. And I will say one way, and then Russell, my co-host will probably give a completely different view, just as a devil's advocate. We'll go. And so it's just going back and forth about that, or we'll talk about a certain medication that we use and what are the problems, and we'll just go on this and talk about what our experiences are, what we've had, how we've seen people manage different things, or if they're having surgeries, what are the issues that people are having, what are the things that they're concerned about. And so we literally just do that and talk about it, and then we'll stop, and then we'll have a sip of water, and then go on to the next one, and we'll just do 5 or 6, and then that's it. Nothing, and then it's all one take, so we don't worry about ums and ahs, and we just sort of work our way through it. There's very little, and from a tech perspective, even worse, right? And I need to change this, but right now all we've got is like a whiteboard behind us, and if there's anything that we need to draw, we'll just turn around and then draw it on the whiteboard. But I think it's a volume. All right, so just doing it regularly, you know better than I do about the algorithm and how that picks up, and just engaging with the community. I remember when we were starting out, when I saw that this was taking off, and I was getting videos that were getting 600-700 views, and I was like, who the hell are the 600 people that are watching this nonsense? I was like, okay, I've got to try and improve this. So we started spending a bit of time in the community, commenting on people's comments, and responding to that, and that took a bit of time. So you had to sort of devote that, but now it's sort of got to a point where it's sort of morphed on its own, so we don't have less time doing that. But I think, sorry, that's a bit of a verbose answer to your question, but I think it's just not overthinking it, not really going, okay, I need the perfect setup, I need the perfect script, and it needs to be pitch perfect in terms of what I say, and there should be no flaws. I think that's not true in reality, right? So on a day-to-day interaction with anyone, so it shouldn't necessarily be true on video. Just go with it. I think the more you procrastinate, the longer you'll be left behind, and then it's harder to get ahead, right? That would be my, advice on that front.
It's awesome. And as you said, you haven't changed anything in 5 years, but don't fix something that isn't broken, right? Like this recipe, your sausage recipe works. Keep doing it. And I love that it's that simple, because people want to, like, our brains want to overcomplicate things, right? So even for us, like, over time, we've looked at Hormozi numbers or Gary Vee numbers or whatever. Like, oh, you can start chasing that. But what happens is you start to optimize for the ego, right? But you and me, we're business owners. I'm not relying on like YouTube AdSense money. I'm trying to bring in, not that Hormozi and Gary Vee are, but other content creators with big numbers, right? And so I think people see like these Mr. Beast videos or these videos, and they think they have to do these crazy things, but it's literally as simple as, what questions do your market have? And maybe, like, I know when I first started, I did take a couple of videos down, but I looked like It was during COVID. I had no makeup on. I was like, I'm just going to freaking do it. Like, I'm just going to get out there and rip off the Band-Aid. But I had no lighting. I mean, we don't have a studio set up in Bali yet. And it just looked like Matt was off camera, like, talk about landing pages, smile. And over time, you know, my delivery has got better. Now I almost think in scripts. Like, I can say things off the cuff and I can do it. But I think that's one thing for YouTube is it's as simple as what questions do people want to know and then answer them. We even put through our sales calls. You could start doing this if you're recording, like maybe like the admin calls, like the front desk calls, because I know you do a lot of your stuff in person. We'll put those scripts, our sales call scripts through AI, and then we've trained an AI bot to give us the topics like of what we should do. But you guys already have a system. For you, were you always, because you're very, very good on camera, were you always good on camera, or when you first started, not so much?
Oh, no, honestly, not that I've ever done this, right? Because I never look at the videos. I just look at the sort of a quick gander when they send the videos through, and then we send them away to be uploaded. But God, if I ever looked at the first few videos, I would you want to crawl into a corner. It was horrible, right? Because I do remember the first time we were doing it. It was quite nerve-wracking. We were quite nervous and And I think the first few videos we may have fumbled a little bit and gone, okay, stop. Let's do that one again. Now we just don't have the time and the energy to do that. So we've gotten, I think like with anything, like any workout, you get better with time. You get more efficient with how you're doing it. You get more confident. And you also realize the things that you worry about, no one gives a damn, right? If you say, or you fumble a word, I need to redo the sentence. No one is watching that video going, oh, well, let me press pause on that because that was useless. No, people just carry on because you're just keeping the momentum going. The only thing that I have learned or I have changed over time was, and again, it comes to my point before, which was when we started, we were like, I was really into this long form content. I still am, but I loved listening to a lot of these podcasts and interviews. So I think our first few videos were sort of 26, 27 minutes long, right? Because there was a conversation. So it's easy to do when you've got two people having a conversation, a half-hour conversation, no stress. So we do that. And then as the channel grew, I started to look at the analytics and then looked at the drop-off rate. And then literally after about 6-7 minutes, there was virtually no one watching. So then I realized, well, what's the point in shooting a video that's 27 minutes long and if no one's there for, a good 20 minutes of it? So then we started going, okay, well, we probably need to bring the timing down. And that was a gradual process because we had to feel that we were comfortable enough to give the value of the content that we wanted to in that time. So it dropped down to 15, then to slowly 10. And we weren't like going, okay, at 15 minutes, give me a timing and then let me know when to stop. We just realized that we were shortening it down. And now it's sort of sub 7-8 minutes, generally speaking, sometimes even less. But yeah, I think it's a reflection on, I don't know, a society that everyone wants the TikTok version of the story. Don't tell me, tell me the 30-minute pitch in 15 seconds, that kind of thing. So you kind of have to go with that. So we don't drop to that sort of timing, but generally a few minutes, 7-8 minutes is what we've found to work reasonably well for us.
And so YouTube is a big lead generation channel for you. What are your other main channels to get leads and patients?
So look, I think then that comes onto you and I, right? And how we were working together. And so you were able to build that and then take that to the next level and then use that sort of notoriety we create, through our process that we worked on. You were able to help us craft a message and then craft videos. I'll tell you a story. It was interesting because I had gone down for a coffee. and the place that I normally go to is closed, or for whatever reason I went to a different place, a sort of Italian a bakery down the road, and the guy randomly, never met him before, never really go in there, he goes, "Oh, I've seen your videos on Facebook," right? Not on YouTube, on Facebook. So these are the ads that you guys were running. And he goes, "You always come up on my feed." He was bald as
yeah, okay. We're targeting the right people, just to let the record stay. Okay, very good.
That's right. And so it was fascinating because, and then I've had that feedback that a lot of people that come in and see me go, "You know what? I've seen your ads." So I think the ads, if targeted properly and done well, right, have been an absolute game changer. And I cannot highlight that point, which is if done well and targeted properly, because I think that's your strength. That's where it's really worked.
And like most of our clients beforehand, you guys were with another agency, and I think it's similar. Like I've worked with like 1,000 clients, and it's like quote unquote, I'd been burnt by another agency before. And as soon as I saw, when I was auditing your account, because I was still doing the sales then, I knew straight away what was wrong, right? Because it's what you were referring to earlier. There's stages of awareness. It's in this book called Breakthrough Advertising. There's these levels of awareness, right? And so nobody wakes up one day and is like, "Gee whiz, I wouldn't mind getting my head, put some like hair from my back or wherever we do it in." Like they don't wake up. They go through like unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware. Like we go through these different stages, most aware. And so with your ads, I could see straight away what the problem was. And it's like on Facebook ads, you're going straight for the jugular and competing on price for a hair transplant, and you're trying to get leads in. So I remember you saying like the leads are bad quality, which is what everyone says about Facebook ads. So all we had to do was go, okay, well, actually, what's going to be this sales process, right? And make the offer the Save My Hair consultation. And then from the research and what you're very, very good at is the natural hairline. Because what's the conversation going on in their head is, am I going to look like I just came back from Turkey and I've got a weird head of hair, that sort of thing. And so I don't know if you've noticed the difference in lead quality, but I remember when I ordered it, I was like, when we fix that and we change the offer and then we let the sales process diagnose and prescribe, not only then can you put people into hair transplants, but you can also downsell them into other things which we didn't have the opportunity to do before.
I think it's it's a great story. When I look back on it, it was sort of really harsh going through that journey, and I'm always very grateful that we met and you were able to help guide me through. And I think potentially, I'll say this, and maybe a lot of other business owners, I hope, when I say hope, may sort of it might ring true to a lot of them, because where I was that, okay, this is what I do. This is what I know. I'm good at that. Okay. I don't know marketing. I don't know, all these other intricacies. I can read a book. I can go on a course and do all that, but then I can't be an expert. So you kind of have to trust someone else to take you through that. Which is kind of what I was, envision what people would do with me in what I do. But they come in, they're in a vulnerable position. They trust you to help guide them through. And so we worked with an agency who just went, okay, no problem. We can promise you X, Y, and Z, and did a very, in hindsight now I can see, a very cookie cutter approach, and would deliver what appeared on the surface as really good outcomes, because the volume of leads, like you said, was coming through, but they were not good quality leads, right? And it was just super frustrating because we were getting every day a whole list of people that had made an inquiry, but the number that translated into booked consultations was, it was tiny. All right, probably in the space of, I remember thinking about 15 to 18%. Then the number that actually turned up for their appointment there was a significant attrition at that point as well. And then virtually the number that converted into a closed sale was almost negligible. And so we were doing this and going, I don't understand. I'm employing someone who is reported to be an expert, who's delivering, giving me large numbers, really low cost per lead. And I was being sort of bedazzled by all figures like that. And it wasn't translating to a bottom line with regards to how we were, what we were experiencing growth in terms of a business. And I think that's your strength, because I remember chatting to you. I think there was a few points in our conversation that I went, oh my God, I need to work with Alicia, because you diagnosed that really quickly. But then, you talked about really what we need to do is the research phase. And I went, okay, yeah, tell me, what do you need? And you talked to me about what the ideal client was, and I given you my spiel on that. And you said, okay, that's one thing, but we need to go do research. And you created this amazing sort of survey, and we sent it out, and you talked about, okay, this is how we can, I said, well, not many people are going to respond. Oh, we'll sort of bribe them with,
ethically bribe them. Yep.
Yeah, with an Amazon gift card, and the number of people that responded. And from there, you were able to really craft what the ideal client was, and then look at creating ads based on that. And then I remember another conversation that we had. I don't know if you recall, but you were there online, and I was so impressed, because it was not something that you'd prefabricated. It was not a cookie cutter approach, but you literally, in front of me, and on whatever, it was a Zoom call, you literally drew out the entire business process, the funnel, the pathway of the client, how we were going to do things, literally in real time. And I was like, well, anyone that can, dissect everything and then rebuild it to what we need, in real time in front of my eyes, I thought, well, that was really impressive. And that's really, for us, is translated into better quality leads, better outcomes from that perspective.
And it's the thing. So I've been working in marketing agencies, for about 10 years. 3 years is running PX, and it's the thing that really pisses me off about agencies is, one, they'll try and they want to take advantage of business owners. They're on the churn and burn model, and it's awful. Number one, if you're a business owner, do you know how you make money? By keeping clients. It's so simple. When you retain clients and then you bring on more, it equals business growth. So to me, that's the biggest thing. I want to have world-class operational excellence and really low churn. That's a big thing we focus on. And then another thing is they'll try and dazzle you with these big numbers, impressions, look at all these leads. But the problem is, the whole point of marketing is to assist the business to hit its goals, which is typically to drive revenue and profits. So, okay, well, you don't need ads, you need a system, and you don't need leads, you need buyers. And I think the problem is a lot of these agencies, and not that a lot of the people there are ill-willed, they're often maybe juniors, or they just don't have the reference experience, or they just, I don't know, they're not obsessed, right? They don't get it, but they're not thinking, no, the leads isn't the goal, it's buyers. And then the problem that happens is exactly what you were saying. They'll be like, look, Dr. V, we're amazing. We're getting you all these leads. And what they're saying makes sense, but you're not seeing the money coming into the bank account, which is what matters, right? And then the other big thing no one does is research, but it's just inputs and outputs, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't truly understand, just like you were talking about on YouTube, if you don't truly understand them, they're never going to trust you. They're never going to work with you. Or you're going to bring in leads and patients that are on the wrong vibe energetically. They're going to commoditize you. They're only going to care about price. And that's my beefs. So I'm glad you're not experiencing that.
I think it's a great thing, because, it is a function of just blood, sweat, and tears. I believe that, because you can have one experience where things work, and then you could have easily gone, right, okay, well, I'm going to use that model, and every business, from butcher to baker to candlestick maker, I'm going to employ that sort of model. But when I spoke to you, what I really got, and just from your wealth of experience in working in different agencies, but also in different industries, we were able to sort of really tailor and bespoke, make a bespoke sort of pathway for us. And I remember speaking to you and going, this is the industry I'm in. And you went, well, I've never really worked with a hair transplant surgeon before, but, we can look at this and then really craft the message that will that will appeal to the target market based on the research that we've done. And I think that the confidence to do that only comes about if you've had experience and you've tried different things in different industries, and you go, right, okay, I'm going to take a bit from here, I'm going to take a bit from here, and then really sort of craft the message that way. So that's really, and I think that's really good. And I think that's something that I wish I'd learned that lesson earlier. It would have saved me a fortune from that perspective. And I think if anyone's watching, that's also, come and see you, but also, more importantly, make sure you're working with an agency or working with someone who really understands where you're at, where you want to be, and is able to guide you. Otherwise, you're just sort of throwing good money after bad, I think, sometimes with a lot of these sort of agencies. And that sounds really mean. I don't mean to sort of berate people. Everyone needs to earn a living, but you want to be doing good work with good people.
I just think if you're going to do something, be the best at it. And I imagine you share the same philosophy, being someone who is the best at what they do. If you're going to do it, have the pride, give the value. And I truly believe that the more value you give to the world, when you leave people better off than what you found them, the money is the byproduct of that. And so I think when you start optimizing for the money, which of course you have to understand your economics and your profits. And last year I had to learn about all cash flow and stuff, because I don't know if you know this, but business is not just marketing and sales. So I had a big learning curve last year to plug in these other parts. But I do think fundamentally it is, who is the market you serve? What is the problem you solve? And how can you give them value? And it's interesting because we've had quite a few clients come in recently who have been with agencies who specialize in their niche, but they've said, even though they understand that inside and out, I look the same as everybody else. I look like everybody else. Like, I'm not standing out. They're just using the same cookie cutter approach. And so this is the thing, right? You should be a student of markets. You should understand psychology and persuasion and how people think, because you can deploy this system of what we do into any industry, because it's a system. And then you figure out how they think, you figure out what they want, and then those are the inputs to create it. Like, you can literally install it into any industry and figure it out. I got to be honest, I'm going to stop you there. I think you sell yourself short from that perspective, Alicia, because yes, I see where you're going with that. It is a model, but you have to imprint on that the personal, and this is what you do really well. You're imprinting the personalization on that model. So it's not like, here's a script, or here's a advert, copy and paste that, and you'll be fine. It is very much about, okay, the message within that script has really been tailored to your target market and what their needs are. So I think you do that very well, and probably so well that you sort of, able to sort of brush over it. But it's actually a real gift. Well, it's a gift, but it's also born from heart, blood, sweat, and tears. I know you've put the effort and the hard yards in before that to get to where you are, where you can do that on the fly. Not many people can. Yes, I appreciate that. It's the curse of knowledge, right? Similar to working with you or any of our clients, you definitely would have said stuff in our kickoff call. I'm like, wait, that's gold. And you're like, that? Oh, duh, of course we do that. And I'm like, no, nobody else does that in your industry. And I think that's the benefit of having a good agency come in, an external agency, because it's very hard to read the label from inside the bottle. And you can drop me into any business, and I will do your marketing, and I will probably be the best. I will find you millions of dollars, and there wouldn't be many people who could outcompete me. When I have to do my own marketing, I feel like an idiot. It's so hard. I want to and people find that quite relieving to hear, having to do my own marketing, because I'm so close to it. And I have the curse of knowledge, and I want to talk about all of these cool, sexy, technical, crazy stuff. And it's no one cares about that. That is the wrong, they have to experience that. But what you put in your marketing, there's some stuff they have to hear, and there's some stuff they just have to experience. And it's funny because that's what we help our clients do. But yeah, in case anybody's sitting here thinking it's easy for me to do my own marketing, no, and it never is. Very hard. Okay, so a couple of rapid fire questions. Number one, if you could force feed another business owner one book that you think should be mandatory reading, a book or a podcast or a thought leader, what would you say?
I've got a really good one. I think there's a great book. I don't know if you've read it. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Yes. Oh my God, let's talk about this. I love this book.
Have you read it?
Yes, it was my obsession last year.
It's great. I love this book. It's by Will Gadara, and he was the managing director of 11 Madison Park, which was the top, one of the top restaurants in the world. I think it was number one at one point in the top 50 restaurants in the world. And it's a great book because he talks about his journey in that hospitality space and what they did at EMP, 11 Madison Park, in terms of delivering, over-delivering on service to create that sort of, the customer experience. And I think this is such a good book. I gave a talk, interestingly enough, at the last hair transplant conference, and I based it around this book because I think this book, the messages in that are applicable to anyone in the hospitality industry, in the medical field, whatever. I think we are all in the space of looking after our clients, and what we have to do is try and over-deliver just the experiential aspect to our clients, because they will just love you even more and just feel part of the family and want to come back for a myriad of different reasons. And so that book was great because just listening to his journey and how all the intricacies of what he did at EMP, the tiny little things. And for me, it was even, it hit home even more because what had happened was back in 2018, just before COVID, my wife and I had taken a trip to New York, and one of the things that we really wanted to do was to go to 11 Madison Park. So we'd actually had to, we were able to get a booking. You have to book in advance on a particular day, and it was such a it was a great experience. The food was amazing, but it was little things that they did. I now learn more having read the book, but you never had anyone over your shoulder looking to see where, but there was always someone around. And then when you looked at it, it was this constant flow of waiters and waitresses that were moving around without being overbearing. And I remember looking at that going, wow, that's really sort of elegant and almost mesmerizing, but it was all done on purpose. It was all done to, create that sense of that you're really being looked after. Have you read the book? What's your favorite part about it?
I am obsessed with it, and this is one of my books that I tell everyone to read. This, E-Myth, and a couple of others. But my big takeaway from it was that what you do is the commodity. So in his thing, it's like the food. You can get food anywhere. That's the commodity. It's the experience that matters. And I know this from an agency, right? It's you can go and get ads, the commodity, from some guy on Fiverr for $100. I still want to be the best at the world in what we do, but it's the experience. And I've always known this. It's the experience and how we do things. And I've mapped out every single touch point. We do weekly trainings with our team on client experience. So you know how most people do coaching for their sales team? We coach them on how to talk to clients, how to deal with, things like role plays, all of these things. And as I was reading Unreasonable Hospitality, I happened to have a voucher to Vue de Monde in Melbourne, and I had never been. And I'm a souvlaki HSP gal. I'm a big foodie, but Matt and I are fine dining, bit wanky. We were joking we'll grab a HSP on the way home. We're going to be hungry. And it was because I was reading this book, and I'm so glad I went at the same time. Exactly what you were saying. It's the choreography, the touch points, the way that experience was thought out. And I was just sitting there I was I'm seeing the book in action. I just thought it was so
Isn't it great?
Beautiful and amazing.
There was one point, and I loved this. I never looked at, but they have the plates, and at the end of the underneath the plate is where they have the production name, the maker of the plate. They made sure it's a white plate, but they made sure that the plate was placed down so that if you were to ever, and how many people do this, were to look up, turn the plate over to see who made the plate, that the name would be the right way around, right? Something that you'd never think to do, but they had thought each individual sort of thing, because you didn't want to have someone to turn around and then turn the plate around to see what the name was. So little things like that, and we do the same now, right? After I read the book, I've been talking to the team here about, okay, this patient is here for the day, right? We need to make sure that, whatever they need, we need to, on one hand, it's about the process, the hair transplant, and going to do the best job ever on that. But it's also the other things. What can we do to make sure that their day is great? So when they look back on the whole thing, they just, there's nothing that we've not left any stone unturned. So small things like, can we make sure that they have a coffee, and what is their coffee order? Can someone make sure that you are in charge of running out and making sure that we get the coffee in time for them? Or what's their lunch? And we've now got, really good. So things that are not traditionally under the sort of purview of what a good hair transplant is, right? We've really tried to optimize that for our clients as well.
Because the expectation is that you do a good job on the hair transplant. The expectation is that I make my clients, that's the baseline. That's me doing the bare minimum, is you paid me money to do something and I will get the results. And so everything else that's going to make you different or build your competitive moat. And a book that I'm studying at the moment is Scaling Up. That's a really good book which talks about this a bit. One of the Vern Hardish, very, very good. And the guy that did the Rockefeller Habits. It's like this experience. And so not only do we do this for clients, but we also think of it for team members. Okay, what's the onboarding experience? That's the imprinting time. And so, some of the poor guys and girls that came in the early days where it was like, welcome to PX, we're a startup, go get some shit done. And now, I'm sure a single tear rolls down their cheek whenever someone's like, wow, this onboarding is amazing. It's so good. And, their 1 year milestones, their 2 years milestones, we'll get them, we'll get our team custom merch made with their nickname and the year they started and and the logo and stuff. What's their experience, right? And that was meant to be a quick rapid fire question. I think we could talk about this book for a million years. I just think it should be mandatory reading, and not enough businesses actually think about it or put effort into it.
I think it's a great book. I heartily recommend it. One of the best books. And I got the book. I've got the audio book as well because I'm doing it again. So I listen to it in the car. It's great.
Amazing. And now, Dr. Vikram, where can people find you after today's episode? One, if they want a hair transplant or they want you to fix their receding hairline and they'd like to install a beautiful, natural-looking head of hair. Or two, just in general, where can people find you?
Yeah, so basically we're a hair transplant clinic located in Melbourne. We're in the suburb of Malvern, which is just about 10-15 minutes from the CBD in Melbourne. And you can hit us up at atlantismedical.com.au. We also have a YouTube channel called The Hair Loss Show, so at The Hair Loss Show. And we sort of upload a video a week, so you can leave comments there. And I'm also on Instagram at Hair Transplant Surgeon. So multiple different ways of contacting me. Basically, if you're losing hair, it's something that we can help and get you through the journey.
Yes, and as somebody who has researched this industry probably more than any other person or marketer, I can hands down say that you would be in very safe hands. So, Dr. Vikram, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your wisdom and experience with everybody watching.
No, it's been great, Alicia. I had fun. It's been a blast. It's been an honor. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this conversation.